You're watching Capital City Sunday.
Welcome back. I'm now joined by Nikolai. She is the new state adjutant for the American Legion of Wisconsin chapter. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
This is really historic. I mean, not only is the new commander a woman, now state adjutant is a woman as well, both first time. How significant is this? And I know you guys feel like the Wisconsin chapter of the American Legion is really leading the way on this.
We absolutely are, and it's not just that we have a Wisconsin state commander that's a female, but our national commander is a female as well, Denise Rohan, and she is the first national female commander in the history of the American Legion. And she's also from Wisconsin, so this isn't just big for the Legion in general, but it's huge for Wisconsin.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, you know, some people hear American Legion, I still think they don't know exactly what the organization does. Tell me a little bit about the mission and your position specifically.
Sure. The American Legion is the largest veteran service organization in the nation. We were founded and chartered by Congress in 1919, and the American Legion is actually attributed for much of the benefits that I, as a post-9/11 veteran, benefit from today. I would say, in my opinion, one of the greatest achievements the Legion is accredited for is the birth of the GI Bill. And so as a veteran, I have had taken huge advantage of my education being free, and that's thanks to the American Legion. The American Legion has also been instrumental in the birth of the VA system. I think a lot of people aren't aware of the history that the Legion serves and how we have helped veterans, their families, and their communities, and how we continue to do that through numerous programs. Badger Boy State, we have the Sons of the American Legion, we have baseball programs, Americanism. I mean, we're just everywhere you can find in the community, trying to do our best to help spread the pride that we have for service for country, for God, for country.
There's 53,000 veterans in Wisconsin, I saw from...
53,000 Legionnaires and
that you represent.
That we represent, and 506 posts throughout the state of Wisconsin.
So how do you guys assess where we are with veterans issues in 2017? I mean, we heard a lot about veterans issues when the Toma VA scandal happened and some other things at other VA hospitals around the country. What are the biggest concerns and the biggest issues that the American Legion is fighting on behalf of veterans for right now?
Well, really, the sentiment, it's easy. We need to do better. We need to do better for veterans. One veteran complaint is one too many, and that is the stance that the Legion has taken. That's the stance that Commander Clewell has basically said throughout the state. And basically, it's nonpartisan. We're going to work both sides of the fence to get things done for veterans when it comes to their health care, when it comes to PTSD, mental health. We're going to work across the board to make sure that we're on the front lines advocating for our veterans and making sure they get the benefits and the care that they deserve, that they fought for.
It's obviously Veterans Day weekend. You mentioned you're a veteran yourself, a veteran of the Navy. What were some of the things when you got off active duty and you needed help with that you found maybe this could be handled better, or there could be improvements in this area?
That's a very difficult transition when you get out of the military. I found what was the most difficult was just that lack of camaraderie. When you're in the military, it's a family, and you are surrounded by your brothers and sisters in arms. You go through things that create a bond that is hard to put words to. And so when you first get out of the military, that's a really tough transition, I lost a family.
Sure.
In organizations like the American Legion, we're a family, and that's what our mission is. That's actually our national commander's theme this year is family first. And so for those veterans transitioning, we want to be there welcoming you home and letting you know that you're not alone. The American Legion and all our programs are there to welcome you in and give you that feeling that that camaraderie still exists. And we're here to help you through that transition as you adapt back into your civilian life role.
We were talking earlier about the, I guess, rise of women within the American Legion into leadership roles like yourself. There's been a lot made about the treatment of women in the military in different branches over the last 5 to 10 years. Is getting more women into leadership roles, no matter if it's in veterans organizations or in the military itself, is that a big key to making sure that women have an easier time when they are doing their active duty service?
I think it's a testament to how we're evolving as a country. And I think if you look at the stances the United States Navy, the military in general has taken with rights and benefits and recognizing women and roles and gender, all those types of issues, we're showing that we're evolving. And I think the military has really set a precedence for organizations like the American Legion that we recognize all types of people. And people may not realize that the military itself is really evolving, and we need to evolve along with it. In terms of being a female, I'm honored to be in this role.
Yeah.
Obviously, being the first female adjutant is an honor I never expected, and I will serve that proudly. But outside of being a woman, I'm a veteran.
Yeah. First,
And
right?
I'm a veteran first, and that's what I say to everyone. I recognize the role. I recognize how huge this is for women across the country. But first and foremost, I'm a veteran.
Let's talk a little bit. You know, it seems in these days, and you mentioned it's nonpartisan. Yeah, is what you try to do. It seems like people are trying to make, whether it's the military or veterans and respecting veterans, such a partisan issue. Is that frustrating from the point of the Legion? Because I'm sure you guys are thinking, we know most people support veterans regardless of whether they're Republicans or Democrats.
It simply comes down to advocacy. And when you're taking a stance to defend those who defended the freedoms that we uphold today, it's a nonpartisan issue. And the Legion is going to be strong in taking a stance of we fight for veterans. And this comes down to advocacy. This is not a red, white, and blue. It's not separated. It's a red, white, and blue issue, and we need to find a common ground when it comes to serving those who've served this country. We're benefiting from that. And the Legion will stand by that advocacy role. We will fight. We will stand up. And Commander Kuhl has made that very clear on many fronts.
As we go forward into 2018, what are some of the things that the Legion is looking for, either from Congress, either from the state legislature, things that you guys still want to see, maybe some changes made or maybe some improvements made?
Well, healthcare is always a big topic, and I think that's what we're seeing across the board with the federal VA and the whistleblowing and all the things that are happening. We're taking a stance on ensuring that our veterans are getting the best health care that they deserve. And I think you're going to see more from the American Legion on that stance. That is part of our 4 pillars, and that's what we stand for. And healthcare is encompassing. It's large. That's reaching into mental health. That's reaching into the over-prescribing of medication.
Let me ask you about that, because I've done done stories on at least 3 different veterans who have either died from overdoses or committed suicide after becoming addicted to opioids. Is that a bigger problem with veterans than it is even, we know it's a huge problem with the general population. Is it even a bigger problem with veterans? Because I imagine they have a lot of pain issues.
And they're deep. And I think what's difficult is that across the board, just mental health in general, internal wounds, invisible wounds that you can't see are difficult to diagnose, and they're difficult to treat. And then when you look at just the layers of trauma that some of these men and women may have been exposed to, that complicates the situation even more. So I think it's a very complex issue that really needs a diversified approach in terms of, yes, maybe medication, but groups like the American Legion also helping you cope and transition and being there for your family and giving you some stability and letting you know you're not fighting this alone.
Yeah, if there are veterans out there, we've only got about a minute left, but if they are, you know, you mentioned when you leave the military, you lose that camaraderie. If they're kind of feeling a little lost, what's the best way they can get involved with their local post or with the state agency?
Absolutely. So there's posts, 506 posts in the state of Wisconsin. Obviously, you can find us anywhere. I'm not wearing my Legion cap, but typically we stick out pretty easily, and we're easy to find. Our website, wisconsinlegion.org. Check us out. But more than anything, I think you'll see that we're involved in, especially Veterans Day, you'll see the Legions in the schools talking about the flag and the importance of the flag. What do the colors mean? What do the folds mean? That's part of our 4-pillar mission, is to be into the community, teaching children about Americanism, patriotism. And when you see somebody in that hat, ask them, how can I be involved? How can I be a part of your family? And really, we should be asking you, how do we get you involved? How do we surround you and welcome you home and give you a family?
All right, Amber, Nikolai, very interesting. Great stuff. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right.